Hi, this is Deborah Anderson, the BlkWmnAnimator, coming back to you with another video. This video is going to be about overcoming perfectionism. So my natural personality is that I am a perfectionist at the core, and I am happy to say that I have been delivered for the most part. I'm much less of a perfectionist than I used to be when I was younger, and so I just wanted to do a video of how the process I went through to overcome perfectionism, and then the process I'm continually going through to try to just put stuff out there, especially as an artist. So originally, even a few years ago, I would read 50 articles on a topic. I know I've said this before. I would read 50 articles on a topic and still not do a thing because I'm trying to do my research to do it perfect that first time I tackle it, instead of just getting the gist of what I want to do and then just doing it. You learn through experience. Experience can help you a lot more times. Experience can help you a lot more times than when you're trying to read about something. Like, wisdom is definitely getting tips from other people and not having to experience everything. But when it's action items, experience can help you a lot. So the first thing I want to tackle is this Stevie Mackey quote that I just ran across. And the quote is, "We don't know how many mistakes are in any masterpiece, but we still call it a masterpiece." Moment of silence for how deep that quote is. Like, if you really wrap your mind around that quote, if you just take time with that quote, I mean, for some people, it will be immediately eye-opening, but that quote is so deep because, you know, as an artist, you can go up to most artists and look at their work and ask them to point out every mistake, and they'll be able to do it. But if you are going to a convention, if you're going to someone's website, if you're going to someone's Instagram, they're still putting out art, and people are still liking it. And that kind of goes into a Terry Crews quote where, you know, during Christmas, he was doing the painting session, and he really is on some Bob Ross type stuff. But his quote was, "Never judge your work while you're doing it. Let it go, flow with it. All judgment stops creativity." And so when you're like, as I'm learning to do this sculpting thing, and I'm watching videos of other people who have experience in sculpting, they're just saying how when you're just pushing and pulling the mesh, you're just flowing through your mistakes. It's gonna look like crap for most of the time while you're doing your piece, but you're just pushing through to the end when it looks like something. And so I think with perfectionism, it's constantly at each point in time trying to make it perfect when that's not realistic. It's never going to be perfect, but you're essentially going from really, really imperfect, really imperfect, really imperfect, really imperfect to perfectly imperfect. So, man, just not knowing how many mistakes are in a masterpiece like Picasso, Rembrandt, all of them can tell you, oh yeah, when I put that speckle there, that probably nobody notices, that was a mistake. Like the paintbrush flung and I had to kind of cover it up because I was almost done with my piece, but then this mess up happened and I had to go over it again and fix it. So just sit with that quote, write it down, study it, and just realize how impactful that quote is. To kind of go even further on the mistake piece, I remember when I was in college, I lived on my floor. My freshman year, I lived in Unity House, and every year we had a performance in the spring where we would have a theme, and then different people who either lived on the floor or even kind of participated a lot and didn't live on the floor could come up with any type of performance or anything to go with the theme. So one time, some of my friends, they were doing a dance, and so I don't know if it was bachata or something, but it was like a Latino dance. And one of the women, she just, I don't know if she hurt herself or something, or was scared, I can't remember, but she ended up not being able to do it. So they asked me to do it, which is totally random. Like, I'm not a dancer. Like, the way I learn, just because the way I learn is step by step, dancing is just not natural to me. It takes me, like, I have to, if you're going to teach me one of these new dances, I'm like, okay, so you put your elbow here and then you put your arm, like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. Like, I'm just ridiculous with it. And so, but I still did it. And the concept was that the whole entire time, the two couples were doing the exact same thing. And there was this one spin that I kept messing up on in practice. And then when we did it on stage, I messed up on it again, but I still like powered through it and stuff like that. And people didn't even notice that it was a mess up. Like, even though it's like, okay, we've been doing the same thing for this whole time, and then all of a sudden we're not doing this same thing at this point in the routine, and nobody picked up on it being a mistake. So, that's another thing I would like to mention with kind of overcoming perfectionism. Stop calling out your mistakes. You know, when we post stuff, we want to say, well, I kind of sucked at this, or this, I messed up here, da, da, da. Just post it. Just share it. Don't tell anybody what your mistakes are, because people are not going to know that they are mistakes unless you tell them. Like, there is, like, it's rare where like maybe in a movie or something, but people might be able to catch, oh, that didn't look like they were supposed to do that, but most of the time, like 98.5% of the time, people are not going to know it's a mistake. So stop sharing that. That's something we have to learn. Like, I'm sure professors or teachers in high school are aggravated about that and probably tell you to stop doing that. Like, we don't know it's a mistake. Stop calling out your mistakes. The number one way that kind of helped me overcome perfectionism, which won't work for everybody, is that I just noticed that there are people sharing or even making money off their artwork, and it didn't look as good as what I do. Not that you should be constantly comparing yourself, but that really helped me, because I'm just like, okay, and then art is subjective, but sometimes I'd be like, wow, that's kind of ugly, and people are buying it or people are liking it, so why not put out my work? Why not share my work? So that was something that, I mean, that was pretty much a big way for me to kind of come over that threshold of being a perfectionist, is that realizing that there are other people who don't care, or they maybe reached that place earlier than I did, and they just are sharing their stuff, not caring what people think about it, or not caring that how it looks, and people outside of those people are liking it and are inspired by it. So that is just one way that I was able to overcome it. Another thing is, I'll never be satisfied. I mean, as artists, we'll never be satisfied with how it looks, most likely. So just let it go. Like, you just never be satisfied. There's always something else that you could have done. So, I mean, try to work through as much as possible. If it's like a person or something, if you want it, if it's not stylized and you want it to be anatomically correct or something like that, work on creating that realism, but at some point you just gotta let it go and just share. Another thing, based on what I said earlier, stop saying that your stuff sucks. I still say this in my head sometimes, but I don't post it with a caption. Like for example, with this Sculpt January challenge that I'm doing, some things that I post, I'm like, this is so simple, or this is just not what I was actually going for originally. And then people, I posted in the Facebook group and on Instagram, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. And I'm like, it's crazy because you're your worst critic. So you're just like, blah, let me just post this for this daily challenge. And people are like, oh, this looks great. So I feel like that's helpful, and it boosts your confidence, I'm sure, to just constantly think that something sucks, and then when you post it, people think it's great. I'm sure that has to be psychologically good for you. So stop saying your stuff sucks. I mean, if it's an internal dialogue that you have to get rid of, okay, but stop audibly saying it, or stop putting it in your caption that your artwork sucks. And then if you want to really take control and try to actively work through overcoming your perfectionism, something that I did in 2016 is that I created a hashtag for the year, and my hashtag was hashtag action and execution. And so my whole purpose in 2016 was to create, because I had that feeling that, okay, I call myself an artist, but I'm not producing art. And so the point was to create and put it out there. I wanted to increase my skill set. I wanted to feel like an artist. I wanted to do. That's a big thing. You have to do. And so that really helped me in just creating that goal for the year of action and execution. So doing and then like producing. And so that was a key to the next step of overcoming my perfection. If you have any tips for people about overcoming perfection, whether it's as an artist or as a person, please leave them in the comment section. If you have any questions for me, please leave it in the comment section or reach out to me by message or email. Please like this video and subscribe, even sign up for post notifications and you'll get an email about my new videos. And I will continually try to post every Wednesday. That's my goal for 2019. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.